Hey everybody, this is Dr. Joe Borio with Chiropassion Consulting and this week's Thought Flash. I told you every week I was working up on my new Thought Flash Theater, let's call it that. And I finally got the projector going, and I thought it fitting to have my Cal Jam BJ Palmer shirt on and to have a beautiful photograph of a Nate on the job, a Nate at work, a Nate doing its beautiful, awesome, miraculous, well-intended, objective of pure genetic expression and perfection photograph, if I said that right, up on the wall. I want to remind everybody that we have a great event coming up in New York City. It's going to be on the 9th and 10th. We do our events on Friday night. We call it Philosophy Night Extravaganza, and then we're going to go all day Saturday. It's going to be myself, my partner in crime, Dr. Pete Lombardi, and Dr. Matt McCoy. If you missed him last year, I'm telling you, he is the editor of the Journal of Vertebral Subluxation Research. He's going to hit with you some science that is awesome stuff. Get you excited about being a chiropractor. So today's Thought Flash. Let's talk about innate for a minute, just pure innate. I talked a lot about practice management over the last few months and getting your practice going, but it all starts with that innate and that idea of philosophy. And D.D. Palmer said, 100 years ago, he says that the chiropractor that can put into practice the principles of what chiropractic is, and to utilize them every day, to actually put in place the principles of chiropractic in place, that's going to be a successful practitioner. And when I talk about clients that I work with and clients that say to me, hey, you know what, the patients or the members tend to be smarter. They tend to ask better questions. I just had a new client tell me after putting some of these ideas in place that he said that he was in fear that it would turn people off, that a lot of the patients wouldn't want that. And he found just the opposite, that patients really resonated with it. They really wanted it. They were excited about it. And some of it is what I teach you in practice and management, but the other part of it is just putting in place chiropractic. Talk chiropractic. You're not any less of a practitioner if somebody comes in and needs a root canal. You're not going to feel less of a doctor or less of a healthcare provider because you can't do that. Stop trying to be the doctor for every ache and pain and every ailment that the person comes in with. Definitely provide what they need. Nerve supply is your baby. Nerve supply is your bread and butter, if you will. Nerve supply is the principle of chiropractic. But they're going to need some direction. You could follow some of the functional neurology. You could follow some of the chestnut stuff about the omega-3 oils. I listen to Dan Murphy talk about that all the time, about the omega-3, about the probiotics, digestive enzymes, good multivitamin. I think everybody needs that stuff as well. But your main focus has to be that of nerve supply. Nerve supply is a nutrient. Nerve energy, messages, signals, quantity and quality of flow from life force, life source, brain to the body. That's what it is you do. That's what it was that these guys discovered. They discovered this. D.D. Palmer's epiphany was this. That's what he discovered. D.D. Palmer discovered that there's a power vested within all matter that is beautiful and pure, with intention, with an objective to create some sense of order, some assembly of organization, some expression of intelligence. And that living matter has the innate expressed within it. It doesn't have a house. Living matter, innate, doesn't have a house within the body. However, it's coordinated through the brain, the mental impulses that express itself throughout the body. Why this picture is so beautiful to show is that it is a pure expression of innate. That you can take these two little cells that you can't see with your naked eye, and they can come together and within moments start to differentiate themselves to form liver cells and pancreas and brain cells and nerve tissue and skin and eyes and ears and feet without anything telling it what to do other than a name. It knows of no other way to express itself than that intelligence. That's something that we can't really explain. But I think to be great as a chiropractor, you have to recognize the existence of that innate, and that it's not your job to necessarily understand it. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't attempt to. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't continue studying the science and the art and the philosophy of chiropractic. I don't want to get stuck in total dogma. I don't want to get stuck in the idea that we know it all and that the profession, if you will, can't advance itself on those principles. But that's the point. Advance itself on the principles of chiropractic. When I listen to James Winterstein talk, he speaks as the advancement of the profession as encompassing other aspects that are outside the holistic, vitalistic, or chiropractic paradigm. That's not what I mean. The idea that we're somehow a subculture of doctors and that in order to be viewed equally, we have to start prescribing drugs and doing surgery and start practicing allopathic medicine or allopathic care. That is a major mistake, starting with the primary mistake of thinking in some way that what we have is not as advanced or as sub-doctor, sub-cultural, sub-principle, sub-scientific. It's just the opposite. It is exactly the opposite. That the chiropractor understands, number one, in total humility, that we don't understand it all. But we practice by a deductive and inductive reasoning, a source of information given to us in the 33 principles. And those 33 principles explain the existence of universal intelligence into innate intelligence, going through the aspect of how things formulate themselves, to the process of time, through the process of adaptation, through the processes of life. And that if innate is not fully expressed within the body, there will always be sickness, disease, and illness that is then the expression of the loss of innate, of the loss of intelligence. See, D.D. Palmer would say, and it holds 100% true today, that pneumonia isn't a sickness, that the body was sick already, and that the pneumonia is an expression of the loss of health of the body. That the pneumonia, the entity of pneumonia, is not the problem. Now listen, you could step back and say, hey, look, medically that person may need A, B, and C, emergency care, in order to get there. I don't necessarily deny that at that moment. But that's not what D.D. Palmer said. You know, like James Chestnut said, you can't be a carpenter showing up at a fire. We're not meant to show up. It doesn't mean somebody in acute care doesn't need an adjustment, so I want to be clear on that. But we're not meant day to day to show up in emergency care setting. We're there so the person doesn't develop the sickness or disease or illness in the first place. Listen, there are endodontists, are there not? There are oral surgeons, are there not? But that isn't the general dentist. The general dentist is in hopes if you brush, if you floss, if you take regular care of your teeth, you won't end up like that, or certainly a lot less likely to end up like that. That's what the message of a chiropractor is. But we're not worried about just rotten teeth. We're worried about everything. There's studies now showing that Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis can be fully corrected with chiropractic care. There's a study in the Journal of Orthopedic Surgery showing that bronchitis and asthma can be fully corrected by adjusting the areas of the spine. That was done by medical doctors. There's studies to show that all different forms of psychiatric problems and diagnosis are the result of a loss of innate, a loss of expression, a loss of nutrient, nerve function from the spine and movement. You know, when you read Jay Holder's studies, you realize that the brain is deprived of these nutrients, that the body, if not moving properly, certain parts of the brain through the cerebellum aren't turned on properly. So chiropractic says, hey, look, by adjusting the spine, we ensure that the innate flow, that the mental impulses, afferent, efferent, can flow up and down the spine just like they're intended to, and that the body can fully express itself from a nerve nutrient aspect. It doesn't mean that you don't need other things, but that's not the job of a chiropractor. And the biggest problem is, no matter where you go, unless you're practicing under principle first, it doesn't mean you can't add those other things, but unless you're adjusting everyone has to be adjusted first. We have to agree on that. If you want to add exercise, kinesiology, massage, acupuncture, nutrition, all that other stuff, that's fine, but that is not, and I stand right here today to tell you, that is not chiropractic. Chiropractic is the manner in which an individual moves spinal bones in order to improve the afferent and efferent flow of the nerves, mental impulses, quantity, quality of flow. That is the job of a chiropractor. End it there. It's not to treat back pain. It's not to treat asthma. It's not to treat migraines. That's not what our job is. Our job is to make sure that the body works just the way it's supposed to. We'll close with the analogy of dentistry. I always use that in my office. Listen, people, when they brush their teeth, that is pure chiropractic. That is pure DD. That is pure BJ. That's Reggie Gold all the way. Why I say that is because they're brushing their teeth before there's even dis-ease. They're brushing their teeth so there isn't any plaquing, so there isn't any bacterial formulation, that there isn't any acid on the enamel to even begin to cause tooth decay. And that's what chiropractic is. We want to adjust you before there's any change neurologically, before there's even dis-ease. That's what I want to look at. I want to look at everybody's spine and keep it fully healthy so that neurologically the person is working exactly the way they're intended to, so that all the messages are working and flowing the way they're supposed to. Think about that. If the body is lacking the nerve flow, it's making decisions on neuropeptides, right, that are attached to all the cells. You have nerve tissue all over the body. In a sense, your tissues actually think, if you read some of this new science, nerve science. So they're making decisions on doing things without all the information that they need. And then the brain is making decisions based upon only part of the information. That's like you running your office with only having bits and parts of information. You're going to make decisions thinking you know everything you know, and you don't know all the information. You make bad decisions. As a result, bad things are going to happen. That's how the body works. That's how sickness starts. Sickness has to start somewhere. It doesn't start with the entity of a sickness. It starts way before that, years, decades before that. That's when sickness starts. It starts with dis-ease, then leading to disease. We want to involve ourselves at the dis-ease, even before that. So the dis-ease never begins, therefore the body never gets sick. That is chiropractic. That's practicing 100% in the purest form of what it is we do. And our job isn't to become more like the medics and the allopathic, as much as some of that is needed. Our job is to get the world to understand what it is we do. That's our job. That's the struggle. Not to get Medicare to pay us, not to get insurance companies to pay us. Listen, if we can get the world to understand what it is we do, problem solved, game over. The world will embrace what it is we do. That's the job. That's what I try to teach you, how to communicate effectively, how to make more people grasp the concept of what it is we do as chiropractors. That's the challenge. And I'll end with this, guys. Remember, your practice is within the 6 inches between your ears. This is where you practice. Read the books, study the science, work on the art of adjusting. That's where you want to focus your attention. Guys, it has been great serving you today. I love doing these soft flashes. I love the feedback. We just had a great meeting at our office with all of our clients. We did an in-office training. That was great. I hope I get to see a bunch of new faces in New York City on the 9th and 10th in LaGuardia. Guys, serve, and remember, may your innate always flow from above down.
My best friend gave me the best advice.